Erstmal hallo, hier ist Vanessa von Cozy und bevor wir mit dem Talk starten, habe ich noch ein Anliegen in eigener Sache beziehungsweise in Cozy-Sache und es dauert auch nicht lange. Denn am 25. April findet die Crafting Products statt, die Produktkonferenz im Rhein-Main-Gebiet. Und wir von Cozy würden uns freuen, wenn du ein Teil davon wirst. Denn es geht uns vor allem um eine Sache, nämlich dem Austausch unter Product People. Und je mehr Product People da sind, desto besser wird die Konferenz. Das bedeutet, es erwartet dich kein theoretisches Buchwissen, das können wir auch alle zu Hause lesen, sondern der absolute Real Talk aus dem Arbeitsalltag. Wenn das für dich spannend klingt, hol dir jetzt die Infos rein, sichere dir ein Ticket. Das kannst du alles tun unter craftingproducts.de, Crafting Products in einem Wort. Und jetzt bleibt mir nichts weiteres übrig, als euch viel Spaß mit dem ScrumTisch zu wünschen.
This talk is for everybody here because I believe in cross-functionality and I believe, and that's a genuine belief, and I mentioned that at Digitale Leute as well, and I'm mentioning it again. It's my genuine belief that everybody who's directly involved in working on the product with the goal of making it successful, right? So building things, right? Deciding what to build and then build it. This is for me one entity. This is a team, one entity. And for me, every single person in this team is a product person, just with a different role. One has a designer role, the other has a product role, the other has, I don't know, whatever, right? So even if like there might be an analyst in that team, right? It's the analyst role, but it's a product person. Why I say that is because I believe product thinking is the key to build successful products. Now, product thinking is a big term. It's not part of this presentation. It could be a whole separate presentation for itself, right? What we are going to talk about today is how we can make or build a successful product. And the definition of a successful product in the realm of product thinking is basically building a product that makes your customers happy, or users, depends. And by doing that, also drives business results. So product success makes sure both are in balance and we create value for the customers and the business. And in this presentation, we're gonna talk about how we can connect business goals and user outcomes to do exactly that, to drive business with products that customers love. And in this presentation, you will get to know, I call it 1.5 new or not so new methods, but definitely how or new ways of applying these 1.5 methods. But before I go into that, I have a question to you here in the room as product people. What do you think is your main responsibility? What do you think? You can just write it in the chat if you want. What's your main responsibility as product? Create clarity about the next most important thing. Nice. What else? Create alignment and a common understanding. Create value. So create user value and business value, fostering collaboration towards a successful outcome. All of that is correct. Make the customer happy. All of that is correct. All of that is part of it. But when you boil it down to one main responsibility, at the end of the day, your responsibility as a product person is to make sure you build the right thing. Whatever you do, right? So all these things that you wrote are right. The collaboration, the clarity, the alignment, all those things that we're trying to get into place have one common goal, which is figuring out what the right thing is, right? Build the right thing. Think further. When you pick the right goal, when you pick the right target group, the right opportunity or problem that you want to solve or chase, right? The right solution to that opportunity, the right data that you have to look into. Not all data is the data that you need, right? So you have to find the right data to look into, and you need to find the right people to actually talk with, right? It could be internal people like stakeholders, management, whoever. It's also external people like users, customers, or competitors. Talk to competitors, ooh, right? But you need to find the right aspect in everything. And all of these things that you do at the end of the day have one goal, which is your main responsibility to build the right damn thing. That's it, right? At the end of the day, you need to build the right damn thing. But what is the right damn thing? That is the main question. And this is where opinions pretty much diverge, right? When you ask your stakeholder, think of the last time, maybe last week, this week, maybe, when the stakeholder came by and was like, I know what we should build next. I have the next big, great idea. And when we build this, we will make zillions of dollars and we will be rich and the business will survive and grow like crazy. And you're like, yeah, maybe. Thank you. When you're evil and sarcastic, you say, we'll put it in the backlog. Maybe. Or you will answer with, you know what, we've done our research and we listened to our customers and we looked into data and we think we should actually build this because this is going to make our customers happy. You see what happened? The perspectives. So what's the problem here? The problem is not that the perspectives are different. The problem is not that the ideas are different on what the next thing to be built is and what the right damn thing is to be built, right? This is not the problem. The idea is the more ideas we actually have, like number-wise, right? The more the amount of ideas, the higher the chance that the right damn thing is really among them. So we want to have a lot of ideas and we want them to come from different perspectives. So the problem here is that everybody's opinion on what the right damn thing is so strong. Strong opinions, and they are not loosely held, right? And why is that? Why do they have these strong opinions? Because they're misaligned. We in a company are misaligned. Misaligned on what? So business is in the business bubble. So their goal is to make business. Sounds easy, it's difficult because, depends on what business is. Marketing has marketing goals, sales has sales goals, ops has ops goals, finance has goals. Everybody has, every function has its own goals, right? And we tend to call it the business. So the business has business goals, whatever that means. So when you ask the business people, they will, on what the right damn thing is, they will say something like, you just have to build something that drives business results. It's super clear. Now let's look at our product bubble. Our goal is, to make our customers happy. Exactly, right? This is our main goal. This is what we want. This is what we chase. So when you ask product people, we will say something like, oh, of course, the right damn thing is something, right, that customers love. So we want to build products that customers love. Business is in the business bubble. Product is in the product bubble. Business has business goals. Product has product goals. And typically, they rarely meet each other. Sometimes they have shared goals, but actually, they rarely overlap. But that is actually where the magic happens, right? This is a Venn diagram. So every Venn diagram works only because they do overlap, right? So the magic happens in that space where they overlap. That is where we need to look for the right damn thing, because there is the right damn thing. We will find it there. It's somewhere there. We just have to make sure that we're aligned on what we want to achieve. And what we want to achieve is not building something that drives business results. It's not building products that customers love. It's the intersection of it. It's when they melt. And what we want is we want to drive business with products that customers love. This is the right damn thing that we want to build. This is what you all and what we all should aim for, to drive business with products that customers love. And this is easier said than done, right? So I can advocate for it for the whole day, right? But how the hell are we going to do that? Because we're all misaligned. So how should we do that? Here comes the answer. I'm not the answer, but this is the cliffhanger in the presentation, right? So we will talk about that in a second, how we will achieve that. But to give you one more time an introduction of myself, so thank you, Konstantin. I'm Büşra Coşkuner. I'm a Berliner by heart, and therefore I just removed it from the slide, but I happen to call myself the no bullshit product trainer because I just can't be any different, right? You know how Berliners are, we are super direct and we just speak things out as they are. And when I see somebody saying some bullshit out there that just simply isn't true or too idealistic, I try to correct that. And with that, I also make sure that I make abstract product theory tangible and practical because I want the things to be applicable, right? The theories, the frameworks, the tools, they are also helpful, but they're only helpful when you can really apply them. And that is what I do. I make them applicable. And my goal is to help product managers and product teams to build effective products so that we can drive business with products that customers love, right? Feel free to reach out to me whenever you want. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me there. Feel free. I'm a super open person and I'm always happy for a chat. So, cliffhanger over. Let's continue with the movie. How do we make sure that we can drive business with products that customers love? Obviously, there are multiple ways to do that, right? So we know there is no one truth. I just mentioned it. Otherwise, I would call it out. So there are multiple ways to do that. And today I want to show you, and I mentioned that, 1.5 tools that will help you do that. And with these 1.5 tools, these help you to align your business goals with user outcomes and the product ideas that we have in the end that we want to build to enable strategic prioritization. They will help you to connect the product strategy with discovery and delivery end to end. That's the alignment, right? And it will help you to make better data and evidence-informed decisions through addressing assumptions. These 1.5 tools. So the one tool, the one full tool is impact mapping. Then we will expand it into impact mapping on steroids. And then we will take it further and add the half additional method on top of it. And that's my AIM model. Has a fancy name, happened by accident. It's just cool. I like it. All right. So, but now, first of all, let's get into impact mapping. What is impact mapping? Now, impact mapping is something that I did not invent. It was Gojko Adzic, but he says he's not the inventor. For me, he is the inventor. So I love that tool. When I first got in touch with that, I think it was in 2017, I started to use it basically every day in my life. Bit exaggerated, but kind of that. So what is impact mapping? Impact mapping is a tool that is lightweight and a visual way to connect the business goals that is on the very left-hand side with the very right-hand side, the daily work of a product team. And that through 5 stages: goal, actor, impact, deliverable, and story. So the focus of the impact map is the impact, the blue part, right? So here's the thing. In the product world, we actually use different wording for these, or for these stages, right? So we kind of mix some other wording in here. And therefore, what I like to do is I use, in my daily work, I use an adapted version of it where I change some words. What I do is I take goal, and sometimes I call the goal part impact, Because in data lingo, I'm a very data-oriented person. In data lingo, we have this concept of impact, outcome, output, right? And therefore, the goal here is somewhere on the impact level. The actor stays actor, and the original impact now turns into outcome. This is the actor outcome. So this is the behavior that the behavior change that we expect from the actor, or that we want to measure from the actor. There's a little bit of a nuance, but we'll get to that later. So basically, and this is basically what the original impact mapping was intending with the level of impact. And then deliverable turns into solution or output. You will notice I will use these two words interchangeably. When I speak in data lingo, I say output. When I speak in discovery lingo, I say solution. It's the same in the end. And the very right-hand side, I change it into not just deciding or not just writing stories in order to move it into development, but actually as a step to decide what to do with that solution. Are we really confident enough that this solution is a good solution, that this solution will help us to achieve this outcome, or help the actor to achieve that outcome, and B, will it actually be as successful enough to also pay into the business goals? Also forgot to mention, apologies, I have a cough, so I might be coughing in between, like now. So these are the 5 steps. I use this adjusted version of the impact map. And now let's get into every single stage in a bit more depth, so that we all are on the same page on how the impact map works. So let's start with the why, the goals. I mentioned sometimes I call it impact. The original intention was to say, or to focus on a business goal, on a smart business goal. Smart also means it's time bound, right? And the ideal time horizon for this smart business goal is 3 to 6, maximum 6 months into the future. Why I sometimes use it as impact is, in my practical work, I noticed that the first principles and of the impact map, like the thinking behind the impact map, also works when you use very big, difficult product goals as lagging indicators. What's the difference? For example, a business goal can be something like grow market share. This is clearly a business goal. Increase average order value is a business goal. But a product goal might be 90-day customer retention. It's super difficult to measure. It's super difficult to move, right? And you would need to break it down, actually. So even with those, it works. Even if it was not the intention, you just end up to work on a different level with that. Actor is any kind of actor, really any kind of actor, who can have a significant influence in a positive or negative way in achieving your goal. Internal, external, first level, second level actor, offside actor. So the thing is, who do we need to leverage as the thought behind, right? So that we can actually achieve our goal. Think of, as an example, Airbnb and authorities. Authorities could, at any point in time, release new regulations and basically kill Airbnb's business, right? It almost happened at some point, right? So this can happen. Also, DevOps. Oh, we need to be able to release faster, way more often. DevOps could be an actor, right? So not only think in users and customers, but think in anyone. Also, when you think in users and customers, this is probably, or when you work on a user-facing product, the users of customers should have a very, very big place in the actor phase, or in the actor step. Outcome, I mentioned it, it's a user behavior, measurable user behavior. Now, here's the thing. At this stage, you either want to have actor outcomes that you want them to do as a business, so that you can achieve the business goals, or it's actor outcomes that you find out through user research that are super important for the actors. So that the hypothesis is when we fix this super important thing, right? So solve that super important problem, serve that super important need, it will automatically make sure that we will achieve this goal, right? So you have done your user research, have like a couple of options, and then you pick the one that you believe will help you achieve the business goal. But we'll mention that later one more time. Then solution is really any kind of solution. It doesn't have to be a feature or an improvement. It can be a process. Think of an internal actor, right? So then a solution might be restructuring. Oh my God, reorganization. It can be a solution depending on that situation, right? It completely depends on the context. So yes, think in features, new products, improvements, but think also in processes, in structures. A training can be a solution, right? Oh, let's maybe train our people, so, right? That this can be a solution to a specific outcome. And then the last step I mentioned already here, decide really what you want to do as a next step. That was pretty heavy on theory, so let's see how that could look like in practice. And for that, I brought you an example from my product analytics bootcamp, where I asked people, the participants, to work on this business problem. Let's say you're Airbnb and your business problem is, or business goal is, to increase number of first-time bookings in the US by 10% by end of year. Who could be important actors to consider? So the tree was pretty big, so this is a snapshot of it, right? And some that they came up with are people visiting the US for the first time, workationers, musicians with no hotel budgets, single parents looking for a temporary stay. Now, by accident, these are all some sort of customers, right? There could also be something about hosts. There could be, because they're a two-sided business, right? So there could be something about hosts. There could be something about internal actors. There could be regulations and so on and so forth. It's by chance that it's customers, but notice that it's not just saying customers. And it's also not saying new customers versus existing customers. It's going deeper, right? So which customer group? Then we said, okay, imagine you focus on the very first one, people visiting the US for the first time. Well, actually, that's the one that they picked. And then we said, okay, what are outcomes that you want them to experience so that you achieve the business goal? The outcomes that you want them to experience. Some outcomes, again, it's a cut, right? Where we want them to quickly find interesting regions in the US. We want them to consider the US as a safe place to visit. We want them to find interesting attractions and sightseeing options fast. And only then they ideated solutions, right? So basically you would pick now one outcome that you believe has the biggest lever or is the biggest lever, and then you would ideate solutions for that outcome. Each path is a hypothesis. And that's why we also read it like an hypothesis, right? We say we believe that by pushing US regions, as an example, in the search results for some time, for people visiting the US for the first time, we'll make them find interesting regions in the US quickly, or we will help them find interesting regions in the US quickly, which in return will help us increase the number of first-time bookings in the US, hopefully by 10% by end of year. So there are two important pieces now to mention. First, the intention of this tree is to make assumptions visible. Any visualization that puts your thinking into paper makes sure that people are talking about the same thing. When they talk about the same thing, then they should also be aware what type of thing that is, right? So for example, when I run a workshop, an impact mapping workshop, then I make sure that we talk about which ones of these are knowns, which are beliefs, and which are just pure assumptions. Where do you have no evidence at all, and you just think that this should be here, right? So this is the important point, number one. Make sure you talk about the assumptions, because otherwise the whole exercise is just, for what? Just for the bin. The second important thing is to understand that these outcomes can be either very business-driven or very actor-driven. So the example that I brought you here is a business-driven way of looking at an impact map. So for example, we want them to quickly find interesting regions in the US. This is what we want them to do, right? We want them to consider the US as a safe place to visit. And to be very honest, like this is a very unethical thing to think, right? So we cannot make anyone perceive a country that is maybe not safe. Not saying that the US is not safe, but actually for some people it is not safe, or they perceive it this way, right? They perceive that it's not safe. Why would we want to convince them in a different way? This is actually super unethical. And your role as a product manager is to make sure that you talk about these things, especially then when the outcomes are created in a very business-driven way. Here are some examples of actor-driven outcomes. So you can also do it from the other side. So I mentioned maybe you have done some research and you have found out, I don't know, they have said something like, I want to decide quickly where I want to travel to. And, you know, I cannot spend my whole day searching for a place to visit. And the US is just so big and it's just time consuming to figure out where I want to go, right? So this is something that a customer says. So you can put it in here and say, I want to decide quickly where I want to travel. I don't want to lose time while looking for a place to travel, right? These are all actor perspectives. So you can also do it from that perspective. Either way, your responsibility as a product manager in such a workshop is to make sure that you consider the customer heavily in this conversation. Okay, so now we know how impact mapping works, and I mentioned two very critical things that you have to be aware of while you work on an impact map. Now, let's put it on steroids. How does that look like? So the thing is, and now you see I'm already pretty excited because the beautiful thing about the impact map is, yes, of course, you can just create an impact map and see what happens, right? But the beauty of it happens, or the magic happens, when you blend it with other frameworks. That's where the actual magic happens. Examples. Blend it with an opportunity solution map. Where do they meet? On the outcome level. Ta-da! You know, an opportunity map, opportunity solution tree. Sorry, you see, I invented a name for it, an opportunity map. No, it isn't. It's actually something else, an opportunity map. Anyways, the opportunity solution tree starts with a product outcome, right? So you can start with an impact map, break it down, break the business goal down to the outcome level, the actor outcome level, turn that actor outcome into a product outcome, and then run your discovery and create the opportunity solution tree around it. Other example, yes, it starts with a business outcome, but what if the business goal, but what if the business goal that you're given is just too big? Then you apply or you run a KPI tree exercise and you break that down and you take one level of a goal that you can really work with and that you can move within the next 3 to 6 months. You can also find OKRs in your impact map, and your potential, like the places where you can find them are on the goals level and the outcome level. There you can find your potential OKRs. You can also find potential outcomes for any kind of other outcome-based roadmap. So if you're not using OKRs, but you have some sort of a different outcome-based roadmap, there you are. Then it also works very, very well with the mindset of lean startup, because assumptions are everywhere and you have to talk about them. And what we want to do is we want to do hypothesis testing at every single point here that is not clear, and that is where our confidence is super low, but it's a very important topic, right? So you find the risky assumptions and you test them. Impact mapping and Scrum. So yes, I know the topic of product goal is still not clear where it exists. If you say, for example, that the product goal is the overall outcome that we are trying to achieve, then you could find it on the outcome level. Otherwise, well, yeah, we can continue discussing where the product goal actually sits. And now my final way of how I really like using the impact map is the reverse impact map. Yeah, dear stakeholder, it's a very nice solution that you brought to the table. For whom are we building it? Okay, can you tell me maybe, how success looks like so that I know this is how we can measure it? Oh, the outcome question, right? So what does success look like? This is the outcome. Okay. Oh, great. If that is what you're looking for, we actually have an idea here in our idea bank. What if we built that instead of what you just proposed? I mean, that would also fit better into our whole strategy, other goals, because what you brought is just super random. Of course, you don't say that, but you think that. Right? So reverse that conversation. So you can start with a solution and you can branch from anywhere where you disagree, right? And it might not even lead to any goals, not connect to any business goals, and then you have a conversation on a higher level or can escalate it. Right. That is the one framework, right? Impact mapping. And then we put it on steroids. And what we want to do now is we will get to that half thing that makes this an unbelievable machine. I worked at a company that was named that way, the Unbelievable Machine Company. It was fun. So now what we're going to do is we're connecting all the dots. All the dots that we have talked about now, these single blendings, we put them together. And when we put them together, we will get to our goals. We will have a model, a mental model that will help us align business goals with user outcome product ideas and enable strategic prioritization. We have that already. It connects product strategy with discovery and delivery end to end. We lack something here. And it helps you to make data and evidence informed decisions through addressing assumptions. We kind of have it half, right? So now let's complete it. We'll do that in 3 steps. First, we align on the business and product expectations, for example, with impact mapping, right? At least with the first 3 steps of it. Then we will identify the right outcomes to focus on and the right solutions to work on. And then we will make it all measurable. And that's what I call the AIM model. Because we want to aim for success with products that customers love. Again, fancy name, happened by chance. I love it. I'll take it. How does it look like? So we have a strategic and a tactical part on this. So on the left-hand side, we will talk about the strategic alignment and road mapping part. On the right-hand side, we will talk about the prioritization and tactical planning part of the model and how they get together. So we have to make strategic decisions, right? So the strategic decisions are what our business goals to focus on this year, in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, and so on and so forth. So there we need a decision and a decision on which one to focus on. Then actors, you can think in target groups, for example, right? We need to make sure we focus on a specific actor for a specific time period. We need focus, right? So this is a strategic decision. What's the focus for the next 3 months, for example? Like, who is the focus? For the next 3 months, maybe it's a 6-month decision, maybe it's a 12-month decision, whatever, but we need focus. And then we come down to the outcome level. So what are the outcomes that we see as the drivers for driving that goal, right? And again, think of business versus actor-driven outcomes. And from these outcomes, we create a roadmap because we want to pick only the most important ones, right? And then we create a roadmap from that. And then we start to identify the right solutions. I skipped saying opportunities because an opportunity solution map is one way you can find the right solution, right? There are multiple ways. You can run a strategic prioritization, your list of 500 ideas that every company has, right? So then you can filter all of them by the outcome or the one or two outcomes that you have decided to focus on. And everything that does not help to pay into those outcomes is out. Just filter it out. That's another way. Another way is ideation, right? Run a design thinking workshop, like whatever, a design sprint maybe. Find a solution for that outcome. And then make it all measurable. And this has, again, two parts. One part is make sure that you label all the assumptions as an assumption and take it from there, right? Assumption mapping, hypothesis creation, and so on and so forth. We want to test it and so on and so forth. We need to gather more information, more data, increase the confidence, and so on and so forth. And for all the pieces that are clear, create or find the right success metric. So put a metric on it, make it measurable. This is the third step. And altogether, it's basically doing exactly the thing that was missing. It's connecting product strategy with product discovery and product delivery. Again, two important things to mention. First thing is, it's not linear. So I started left to right, but it can really start anywhere. There are companies that have not a clear strategy. They're not really strong at strategy. So should we just let the teams wait for some strategy? Now, people would say, yeah, of course, because otherwise they cannot work. And I say, theoretically, you're totally right, but then we can wait 10 years to get an answer to those strategic questions, right? So therefore, we create our own strategic environment and work on that on the road mapping and prioritization level, for example. You can start from there. And also, it's a back and forth, right? Even if you start from a strategic level, it's still a back and forth. Everything informs each other, right? So it's a back and forth and back and forth. Otherwise, we won't be agile anyways. And the second thing is, it's framework agnostic. So I showed you this AIM model based on impact mapping and deriving it from there. But honestly, you could also, instead of an impact mapping, you could run a market research, decide on the target group first, then have a KPI tree that breaks down the biggest business goal, plot your user journey and create a driver tree based on that and align business and product goal based on that, right? So you could even do that. I mentioned on the discovery phase, you don't have to use the opportunity solution tree. You can use other methods, right? So it's really not about a framework. It's about a mental model to understand how to stick those pieces together. And the glue here is really the outcome level. The glue is the outcome level. So, coming to an end, what's the main point? Now, I'm at the same time someone who says, fuck frameworks, but actually keep them in mind. They are useful in their context. As a mental model, as your thought process, as first principles thinking, what I ask for is to stop pushing for business results only. Stop building products that customers love only. My main point is start driving business with products that customers love, because this is the right damn thing to build. It's the combination of both. One way to do it is with impact mapping. So add impact mapping to the mix of your activities, put it on steroids and blend it with other methods, and then connect the dots with the AIM model and go build the right damn thing. That's it. Thank you.